Here, you're ready for your dose of reality. Here, you're ready for your dose of reality.
Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Quack Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
I'm Matey, and I'm Captain Morgan, and we're here to talk about this great video we have to watch.
Oh, boy. What a great show we got here for you, because we are now reviewing...
I can't look. I'm not looking. We're looking at Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan.
I'll say it for you so you don't have to look.
Superbrawl Revenge 2001.
Oh, boy, let me tell you, the spectacle this was.
Now, first of all, we want to say that while Sin 2001 was not great, the matches were sort of good. They were halfway decent. We didn't really tear them up. It was just the booking committee made the matches mean absolutely nothing. That's not the same show this time, folks. This time we get god-awful.
Oh, my God.
We get the drizzling shiznits.
We did.
And before we get into that, one of the overwhelming themes of this show, I'm going to go over a little history, little back history of WCW. In 1996, Ted Turner, who was the owner of Turner Broadcasting and WCW, sold that and Time Warner to a merger with AOL. So it became AOL Time Warner. And when Ted Turner did that, he lost his interest stakes. Here we are moving forward to 2000, and the money is not there anymore. The ratings are down, the advertising is down, and AOL Time Warner decides it wants to sell WCW, amongst other things. So there were several interested buyers that faded out for various reasons, except one group that was run by Eric Bischoff and FuseNet Media Ventures. So several times during this show, they talked about the new owners. Well, at this time, it was looking like it was going to be FuseNet Media Ventures and Eric Bischoff. So that's what we want to explain why, when we mentioned another reference to the new owners, here's a reference to the new owners, what was going on, and one, why the hell they booked it this way if they thought they were getting new owners, and two, who do we slap? Not spray. Who do we slap for booking this crap?
It was bad. It was, oh my God.
Hold on, I need a drink before we even get started. Before you even say the first word. Captain Morgan, aye, matey.
Yeah, warning, if you watch this show, you may end up like this. But this show took place in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, we're going to tell you how much we cared about this show. We don't even remember the arena where they did this. So Nashville, thank you for putting this show on.
Yeah. Commentators, we had Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson.
I think we've crushed them enough. We don't need to say anymore.
And then on interviews, we had Mean Gene Okerlund and Mike Today.
Luckily, very little of that was going on.
Very little.
Because there was an overlying theme in this show that... Oh, by the way, let's go into a little more history.
Oh, no.
This show, I don't even remember when it took place, but it was like 3 weeks after the Sin pay-per-view, which was January 19, 2001 or something along those lines. So this was the beginning to the middle of February. In 3 weeks, Ric Flair has turned heel. Ernest Miller is no longer the commissioner. Now Lance Storm is. Ric Flair has formed a group that is kicking people out of WCW. And they've now mentioned that there's possibilities of new owners. This is in 3 weeks, folks. There is no bigger example of hotshot booking than this. Thanks, John Laurinaitis. Thanks, Terry Taylor. Block.
All right, and on the referees, we had Nick Patrick, Charles Robinson, Billy Silverman, among others, but main ones we want to mention.
Yeah, well, there's some strange things going on because I think for some strange reason, in our Bash at the Beach 2000, Scott Hudson, Tony Schiavone, and Faceless Big Fat Goof went in and actually broke kayfabe and had a book about this tall talking about production, and they were reading from scripts of things going on. Well, somewhere along the way between September or July 2000 and this show, they forgot who the referees are. They had Billy Silverman out there, and Scott Hudson called him Billy Silverman, and Tony Schiavone called him Mickey J. So we really don't know who was out there. We know that was Billy Silverman. We know Jamie Kellner was out there, even though he was called Scott Armstrong. So they didn't even know who the referees are, so we don't care either.
Yep, and you had Michael Buffer, Dave Penzer, and Canyon on ring announcing. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But we opened the show. Of course, what do you open the show with? A match? No. The national anthem? No. You open it with Animal beating the crap out of Billy Kidman. That is how you open a pay-per-view.
Yeah, usually that's done on TV shows. They didn't explain the reason that he beat up Billy Kidman until like 3/4 of the way through the show, and it was even more stupid than us just telling you about it. Oh, by the way, I even want to go into, they called this thing WCW Revenge, Superbrawl Revenge. But the opening picture montage thing didn't insinuate revenge. It insinuated insanity. If you sat through this thing and you're not insane, you're drunk.
I'm telling you. Good God. The opening match here, we had a 6-man elimination match. We had Sugar Shane Helms, Evan Courageous, Kaz Hayashi. Do you want to say that for me again?
Kaz Hayashi.
I didn't say it right. Yes, Jamie Noble, Shannon Moore, and Young Yang.
Jimmy Wang Yang. Yeah, he was just Yang in WCW.
Yang!
Well, this is another thing for you promoters out there, you bookers. If you have to take longer than 30 seconds to explain the rules of a match, the match should not be aired. This was a triple threat, or this was 3 tag team cruiserweight elimination match where you could tag any person into the match at any time, elimination style, but you didn't eliminate your tag team partner when you got pinned. So this thing was real, and then Billy Kidman was supposed to be in the match, so Sugar Shane Helms was his replacement. And this match was 100% written down, and they all forgot it. This thing was another underlying theme of this night. Actually, this had 2 more underlying themes. Blown spots, sloppiness, and the third one, reversals. Kayfabe word of the day, the reversal. When you go to shoot somebody into the ropes and you reverse position so the guy starting is now running is called a reversal. There's no lie. There's like 75 reversals on this show. Kayfabe word of the day. Don't do it again.
Yes, this was not Superbrawl. This was super sloppy. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah, piped in crowd noise on Reversapalooza just said no to me. Ugh. Now, let's get into this god-awful dreck. Sloppy, not great. There was no story to this match. I'm going to give you the elimination order. I don't care who eliminated them. I didn't write it down. I'm just telling you how they went out. Evan Courageous went out first. Then Jimmy Wang Yang went out. Then Jamie Noble. then Shannon Moore, and Kaz Hayashi, who was pinned by Shane Helms to win the match. They also had something stupid there along the way. Somewhere along the way, Kaz Hayashi was supposed to kick Shannon Moore and kick the referee, and the referee sold it, and so did Shannon Moore. Reasons!
Yeah. It was overall bad. They should have called this a super sloppy, instead of Superbrawl, it should have been super sloppy. It was bad. I mean, and the cruiserweights were usually good in WCW, but this was not.
Yeah, this should have been called the Ice Capades. That's how much slipping and sliding they were doing. By the way, 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I went 2 stars. It was, it was awful. It was just so bad.
I'm already halfway through talking about just the first match.
Yeah, and now let's move on to the second. Because
10 matches, folks. 10 matches.
Yeah, Hugh Morris taking on the Wall.
Yeah. Oh, here's another thing. The Misfits in Action, the MIA, had now broken up. He was no longer General Erection. He was the laughing man, Hugh Morris, taking on the first defector of all of them, AWOL, who Jerry Tuitt has now passed away. So I don't want to say anything worse about him except he didn't belong in wrestling. Man, way too long. This match went like 14 minutes, and it needed 3.
It was god-awful, I'm telling you. Man.
1.25.
Oh, yeah, we went pretty high there. I went 1 3/4. Just this overall show was god-awful. Moving along here to your favorite matchup here, I think, of the night. Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo taking on Mark Jindrak and Sean Stasiak.
Yeah, to keep with the hot shot theme of now the Misfits in Action to go. Well, also the Natural Born Jobbers or the Natural Born Thrillers have now broken up. Again, all of this happened in a period of 3 weeks, folks. 3 weeks. So we get Mark Jindrak and Sean Stasiak against Chuck Palumbo and the only talented guy in the match, Sean O'Haire. We've already gone into how bad Chuck Palumbo is, the less talented half of Chuck and Billy. Sean Stasiak, we've gone into about him being meat and having to take Viagra on television. Well, let's get into the worst of all 3 of these guys, Mark Jindrak. This guy was so god-awful in the ring, they used to tie his boots together so he didn't make it to the ring on time. This guy blows. He was the first one brought in of the young talent, what were called the young crew, who actually graduated from the power plant. He was also the first one WCW fired.
He did make a career in WWE, didn't he? Jindrak did, yeah, he did.
Jindrak teamed up with Lance Cade for about a year, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
By the way, they also had a production oops when Sean Stasiak and Mark Jindrak are coming out there, and underneath it said Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire. They weren't doing well, folks. I'm giving this match 2 stars only because Sean O'Haire did a great job, even though he wasn't in the ring. He brought intensity to the match. He made the match mean something. He was good to watch in the ring. 2 stars to Sean O'Haire, -1 star to the rest of this god-awful garbage.
I gotta agree with him on there. I go 2 stars here. I felt like this was just an average match. I mean, it's nothing memorable. It wasn't that great.
Yeah. To give you another idea how bad this was, for 2 nerds who've been wrestlers for a combined, what? You were 20, I was 15, so a combined 35 years. We were watching Charles Robinson call their spots. There were several times he went up to Sean Stasiak or Mark Jindrak and told him to move to the other side of the corner. Charles Robinson called this match.
Definitely. And moving along here, a match that was supposed to be good on paper at least. Chavo Guerrero against Rey Mysterio Jr. Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio, he's not wearing his mask at this time here. The Filthy Animals also have broken up, by the way. And we get Rey Mysterio wearing his devil horns for reasons. Taking on Chavo Guerrero Jr. This match, if you've ever wanted to see what Rey Mysterio looks like when he's drunk, watch this match. He blew 6 spots where he was supposed to bounce off the rope, twice falling down. Again, it was like watching the ice capades in a wrestling ring. It was god awful. The match meant nothing. The match was boring. The crowd turned on this match. Nobody won. Everybody lost. 1 star.
It was very, very sloppy. There was a point where Rey Mysterio ended up doing a Hurricane Rana and putting Chavo on the ground, off the apron. It was just overall bad. This whole show was either like, I'm getting a paycheck, so I'm going to go out here and just half-ass it.
Yep, but I apologize for being loud. It's a little bit cathartic for me to yell and scream about how god-awful this booking is.
Yeah, Chavo Guerrero ended up winning that match, retaining his title. But now we're going to go get a word from our sponsor. Definitely. And moving along here, thank God. I'm just going to give my 2 fingers specifically for this one because Totally Buff taking on Bryan Adams.
I want to see you used to do...
You hold on a second, because I'm sorry. My producer wanted to message me while I'm trying to do this, but they get my 2-finger salute here just like this because their promo was god-awful. Neither one of these men should be able to be allowed to ever hold a microphone in their life. God, Lex Luger, you suck then, you suck now, you suck forever. God, get off the mic. Yes, you had the guns, but you did not have mic skills. And Buff Bagwell, you did not either.
A round of applause, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, it was just god-awful. And the match there, of course, was not any better because it was supposed to be Chronic. But they decided to say, hey, we're going to not medically clear one of them. We're going to make Bryan Adams come out there and fight him 2-on-1. And it was a crappy match. And then, who did you get to see? Who did you get to see?
I was about to say, let's give them the whole story here going on before we give the reveal of who we got to see. So, Chronic was not on the Ric Flair team. So they sent Brian Clark to go see some doctor to get medically cleared because on Thunder or Nitro or somewhere along the way, he had gotten busted open. So that's what the angle they were using. And Brian Clark comes out, or Bryan Adams comes out by himself. And then Brian Clark's music comes out. Brian Clark comes down to the ring, gets hit with a chair, and lays there with a chair over his face. So Bryan Adams is doing a decent job of beating up Totally Buff, even though the match was horrible. I mean, decent job from the standpoint of it's 2-on-1 and he's getting more offense. Not because the match was any good. This match was god-awful. And then Brian Clark comes in the ring and hits Bryan Adams in the back. Well, then we get the rehash of the Halloween Havoc 1990 pay-per-view, where instead of Barry Windham at 6'6", pretending to be Sting, who's 6'2", we get, at least this one was a little bit better, we get 6'5" Mike Awesome taking off a wig and peeling off a mustache, revealing that he wasn't Brian Clark, who's also 6'5". At least they got the right size guy with the right build this time. And then we see Brian Clark crawling out there on the floor because apparently he had a ripped T-shirt. He had a wardrobe malfunction, and he couldn't make it out there. Half a star.
Yeah. Well, I went 1.5. I gave them a little bit there, not much. It was pretty awful. That promo really sucked. Just the whole match was god awful. Let's move on here. I gotta move on.
You want to get totally awful as we move forward? The promo was 4.5 minutes long.
Yeah, about 4 minutes too many. Because seriously, after 30 seconds, I was like, please, just put a gun to my head now.
Yeah, so now let's move on.
Yes, Ernest the Cat Miller with Miss Jones taking on Lance Storm for the position of Commissioner of WCW.
Yeah, Ernest Miller.
Can I be serious for a minute?
Sure, why not? Apparently, the commissioner position was not awarded by a job opening or a job interview or an application process. It was decided by pinfall submissions and countouts. So, Lance Storm is the commissioner, taking on Ernest Miller with Miss Jones. And I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Just say it.
This was my high-scored match of the night. Lance Storm and Ernest Miller for the commissionership was the high. The crowd actually liked this match. This is the only time they didn't pipe in cheering.
Yes.
This is the only time when the sound coming out of the television matched the crowd reactions you could see on camera. Whew. The match was only okay. The story that they told in there was actually decent. Lance Storm is a good worker. Ernest Miller really stepped up his game for this match. 2.5 stars.
Yeah, I actually went a little higher. I went 2 3/4 on this. I thought it was match of the night. Hell, I'll throw out my quack attack just for this. But, overall, it was a great match. Miss Jones even out there dancing at the end. It was definitely something to watch.
Yeah. Please call my mama. Get me off this.
Somebody
set.
call my mama. Oh, yeah. Go back to Royal Rumble 2004.
Yeah, but that's just a signal of if this was the best match of the night, and we still have DDP, Canyon, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, and Kevin Nash coming up.
Yeah.
And Ernest Miller and Lance Storm was the best match of the night. That tells you all you need to know.
Exactly. Let's move on to Canyon and DDP here.
So,
because originally it was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, you can talk about Slapnut.
That's right. Slapnut's over there. Jeff Jarrett with his great guitar was supposed to go face Diamond Dallas Page in the original, but he said, "Here, let's look at the Videotron." And then what kind of video did you call that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to go into when the WCW started. They had a guy named the Shockmaster who. Ole Anderson was talking on a voice synthesizer to change his voice. Well, they used it for many other times. The Black Scorpion. And, they pulled it out for this. The chosen one. Jeff Jarrett.
He hates Jeff Jarrett.
With a passion. So anyway, Jarrett points to the video, and I hope that our editor can find it. If not, editor... Okay, good. We're tracking. Good. It was a Max Headroom promo. They had bouncing pictures all over the place of Canyon and Diamond Dallas Page challenging Canyon to a match. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
How'd that go?
It was really Max Headroom. The only thing missing from it was Matt Frewer, who was the original Max Headroom. So then Jeff Jarrett says that you have to defeat Canyon, or you have to face Canyon before you get to face me. So Diamond Dallas Page turns around, Canyon's music hits, and the only one good thing of this whole match, Canyon came out from underneath the ring and attacked him from behind, except that Diamond Dallas Page turned around and caught him. So they killed a good opening by making Diamond Dallas Page turn around. Diamond Dallas Page got cut right in this area, right near the eye. And Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson kept talking about the blood everywhere. And Diamond Dallas Page might pass out. The spot was this big on his eye. It looked like a ketchup packet exploded. Canyon didn't look happy. Diamond Dallas Page didn't look happy.
What do you mean? He was positively Canyon. He had to have been happy. Ah!
He was like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, God.
Diamond Dallas Page didn't look happy. The crowd didn't like this match. 1.25 stars. These guys, the innovator of offense, did not innovate anything good. Again, sloppy.
Yeah, this really was bad. I gave this 1.5. But then it moved on to having Canyon come out there and do the announcing like we talked about earlier. For Diamond Dallas Page and Jeff Jarrett, we actually got to have the match.
Yeah, I forgot about Canyon announced. Yeah, Canyon did the announcing.
Who better than Canyon? Who better than Canyon to do the announcing?
And I'm going to give my one Chuck Norris award. So go ahead, put Chuck Norris up here. And I want you to put Tony Schiavone next to it. The Tony Schiavone thumbs up. Because Diamond Dallas Page ribbed Tony Schiavone. Somewhere during the opening segment of this, which, by the way, Jeff Jarrett's guitar was sitting on the table, and they were about to fall on the table, and they had to stop, and Jeff Jarrett picked it up and set the guitar down on the floor so that it didn't get broken. Then they fall on the table. Then Diamond Dallas Page rolls onto Tony Schiavone and knocks him out of his chair and lays on him like this. So Diamond Dallas Page ribbed Tony Schiavone, who hated being touched by the wrestlers. So that's my Chuck Norris moment. I found one good thing in this show.
Yeah.
This match was even worse. Make the bad man stop. 1 star.
You know how when you find that really hard turn and you go right to the center of it and it's real juicy and melty and everything? That's exactly where this pay-per-view belongs, right in the center of that turn.
I'm still not drunk enough.
You're not. But yeah, I went 1.5. I don't even want to talk about this match. I'm going to move on to get me out of this show. Because the main event, Scott Steiner with Madeja. And Ric Flair taking on Kevin Nash. Oh, and we totally forgot because this was not just a 1 fall match. This was a 2 out of 3 fall match.
Well, it didn't start that way.
Flair forgot to announce it. That's what he said.
Yeah, this is one of those things where WWF did it many years later. WCW did it many years later. We used to hear it from Michael Cole, and I quote, "Stop doing it." But every time some kind of finish happened, all of a sudden there was a different stipulation. So this started out as a 1 fall match, and Ric Flair announced that there was some piece of paper that he held up from person whoever, that the loser of this match was going to be fired from WCW. So we get Kevin Nash hitting Scott Steiner with a power bomb and getting the pin. All of a sudden, it becomes a 2 out of 3 fall match.
I forgot to mention it. 2 out of 3 fall. 2 out of 3 fall.
And then Kevin Nash is on the floor. They're now bleeding their ketchup packet of blood each.
My God.
And Ric Flair said, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention it's a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification match." So Scott Steiner gets a pin on the floor. Then the match continues on for another God unknown how many amount of minutes.
Another 15 minutes.
And I wish I could remember who. I don't care. I think it was Ric Flair, but I don't care. Somebody hit Rick Steiner, or Scott Steiner, because there were so many screw-ups that at one time Madeja rolls in there and stops the referee. Charles Robinson gets mad at her, and you can read his lips, and he said, "Not now."
Yeah, pretty much.
So then she comes back in, but Ric Flair also comes back in, and then Ric Flair comes in again. And Scott Steiner gets out, or Kevin Nash gets out of the Steiner recliner. Ric Flair hits the referee, then hits Kevin Nash, and then it's Kevin Nash's lifeless, probably the best acting I've ever seen him do, his lifeless body, and he gets counted out and loses.
This pay-per-view gave May May nightmares. Trust me, she was hiding underneath a blanket because she could not tolerate seeing this. It was that bad. This show was horrible. This show made Bash the Beach 2000 actually look decent in comparison.
See, May May's raising her hand. She doesn't want to see anymore either. She's like, "Stop!"
It is that bad. This entire show was awful. terrible.
Yeah,
the main event was god awful. I gave this 3/4 of a star. This match, this should not even been aired on Peacock. This really should not.
Yeah, this is on 3/4 of a star for me as well. This whole show was like Mad Libs. You know, booking A and booking B. It's like they pulled match ideas out of a hat and just went staple here, push there, and tried to come up with a coherent show. So, I figured out you gave me a really good idea. And I'm going to take a drink for this because I think I'm about in the bag after this.
Oh, man. Holy cow, man. You're going to be feeling this tonight. Oh, boy.
Editor, put the Peacock logo right there. Yes, Mamie, I know. I understand. I understand, Mamie.
It scared her, too.
I'm not going to blame the wrestlers for this, although I should, because it was a spot botch fest. This thing was horrible. Beyond horrible. I should spray John Laurinaitis and Terry Taylor because they were in charge of this. I'm not going to spray them either. I sprayed them enough. They might actually start to smell good and do something useful with their lives.
People power.
I'm going to spray Peacock Network for not taking this thing off Peacock. They've taken a lot of other things that are far more offensive off the air. They've taken things off that were less offensive.
Oh, by the way, you know what they did that we forgot to mention? They actually showed Sid Vicious's leg broken on this pay-per-view, but did not show it on the other one when it really happened.
That's right. So, I'm going to spray the Peacock Network because this still exists. Ooh, give me a hand.
I think I'm going to help you out here. God, you suck!
Let's take it home.
Yeah, because that's the end of our show. Overall, if you watch this show, I'm talking about that pay-per-view on Peacock, God help you. You're better off to watch this 30-minute clip. You know, this is a better explanation. And you might not have such a headache. But don't worry. We're still on the road to hell here. Because we got one more show. We had Sid. We had Superbrawl Revenge. And now...
Nick from Michigan, give us another respite, please.
He's hoping you do.
I'm hoping you do. All I know is it's Greed 2001. I know that's up there. I don't want to look at it.
We're going to see Greed. Oh, boy. Get ready for this. Oh, God. Let me get him out of here before he starts passing out here. I'm your host, Dr. Quack. Oh, no. You okay, buddy? You okay? All right, well, that's the end of our show. We'll see you on Greed here. I think I got to call somebody.